So welcome to another version of My Next Guest Bartender Is. This is a really exciting one. He is full of character. You all know him as Tiki Big Daddy G. It gives me great pleasure, and I say this in a way that so many other people say it gives me great pleasure, but genuinely I do mean this. It's a real pleasure to have him here. Georgi Radev. Okay, so welcome.
Thank you.
Lucky Cane has just opened up. Been a month now.
Yeah, it's been almost a month.
Okay.
Not even a month yet, but 3 weeks.
And I presume everything's going. I mean, you're having noise complaints from the council already, right? So, so I guess it's going.
I'm
well.
Sorry.
So,
if you're looking at this video, I'm sorry.
And you're living above Lucky Cane, where the fire station is.
Yeah, if you are living there, I'm sorry.
So there's a couple of things I want to talk about in this little session. You coming to London, bartending, opening up your own spot. I mean, that's the dream.
Yes,
you know, living the dream. I want to talk about Tiki for you, but also the industry in general. You know, what your opinions and your views on where we're at with Tiki, or where we're at with us as a consuming cocktail industry, and you know what it's like being Georgi. So let's get to know you a little bit. You came over from Bulgaria, what, 16, 17 years ago?
Yeah, 17 years ago, yes.
Okay, and you were bartending out there?
Yeah, I was bartending in Bulgaria.
And what was that like? What made you come to London?
It was good. It was good. It was like I passed a good bar school by two people that were working in Dubai before, and they had a really good education. So, and I was always passionate about bartending. And for me, it got to the point of where I couldn't get more from the Bulgarian industry, really, because no one was trying to drive the industry up. It was just to a point like you get to this point there, and then just raising the level, it was impossible. So for me to continue growing in the industry, I had to.
It was a natural progression.
Yes.
And it sounds like it was a very organic process from, you know, the first couple of days in London, and it was Floridita.
No. When I arrived in here, I actually luckily got introduced to Douglas Zakra. So I he opened up a place. Funny enough, now this word is really bad, but the name was ISIS. So the cocktail bar was called ISIS when that wasn't a bad word.
That was a great name,
it was a great name 17 years ago. No one would have done that now. But yeah, so I was working with Douglas Zakra there. Then I worked a little bit in Lab as well, and then I went to Floridita.
The Lab alumni is pretty reputable now.
Yeah.
And then from Floridita to Mahiki.
Yes.
Like 10 years in Mahiki?
Yeah, it was over actually, 11 years in
11,
yeah.
I mean, in bartending circles, and especially nowadays, and I don't want to be disrespectful to any current day bartenders, but to spend, you know, 18 months, 2 years, 2.5 years in the same place is actually pretty admirable. But to do 11 solid years in the same place.
Yeah, I mean, there's something that is good about it and something that is bad about it, because I understand why bartenders are moving from place to place a bit more often, because you are learning more, you're learning from different people, you're learning different cocktails and things. But then if you are working for one brand for 11 years, you're learning in a different way, you're becoming that brand. So yeah, there's ups and downs.
Who were you learning from? Who do people in the industry that you admire? Who were your peers? Like, where did you get your education from?
Oh, Richard Wood in Floridita, then Papa Jules, Richard Hunt, and then looking up to big names like Ian Burrell and see what he's done. It's not really, with Ian Burrell, it's not even that much learning as...
hanging out.
Yeah, you just see how you can progress yourself by being a character, by pushing a category, by being all over social media and things like that. You can see how you can actually build up your own brand to create your own job. You're like, okay, that's interesting. So it's really inspiring.
All those guys, you know, you basically were all, and I don't want to use this word in a derogatory term, but you were all in this revolutionary bubble of Tiki, right?
Yeah.
Because Tiki obviously started. I mean, I think you need to correct me now if I'm wrong on this, because you're the expert. But Tiki, for me, in terms of history, started what, in the 50s, 60s?
Not really. It started from Don the Beach Combo in the 30s, actually. So
okay.
So he created it in the 30s. He started his first tiki bar called Don the Beach Combo, and then from there it just took off. And in the 50s was just in the boom, really. So there was not really a city in US that didn't have a tiki bar. It was like everywhere.
But then it feels like it went quiet. And then Mahiki opened 2007?
2006. Yeah.
2006.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's huge.
Yeah, because it was the reason why Tiki went down is because it was misunderstood by many people. Tiki culture is one of the most sophisticated culture and Tiki style bars because it just links so many things. Tiki is a lifestyle for so many people, and the Tiki drinks are beautiful drinks, but they're quite complex and complicated to make, really. And if they're not understood well, then you ended up thinking that Sex on the Beach is a Tiki drink, and this is when everything went down.
I think because we were speaking obviously before, and I think there seems to be this misunderstanding that Tiki is just simply rum, juice, and hula girls.
Yeah, I mean this was because in the beginning when Don the Beachcomber opened his bar, it was the one that was breaking boundaries, and this is what we are trying to do now in Lucky Cane. So we're talking about in the 1930s when cocktails first were not like that popular, and even when they were popular, the cocktails were mainly spirits with vermouth, bitters, here and there some citrus, but not really breaking boundaries. And Don the Beachcomber was the one that started all the homemade ingredients. He was using his gardenia mix, he was making his own grenadine, he was making falernum, orgeat syrup and things like this. He was using fresh fruits, he was blending, he was using different cups, garnishes, fire. So it was really innovative. But all this to make is quite time consuming and difficult. And in translation, people slowly start like, oh, why should I make my own falernum or whatever? Just drop some rums and juices, put umbrella on it, and you're like, yeah, it's a Tiki drink. Well, it isn't. And
potentially that was its downfall, that it's just juice, umbrella, straws, that's it, you've got a Tiki drink.
That's the thing, because it was so easy in the 50s and the 60s. If you're opening a Tiki bar, because Tiki was so popular that you open a Tiki bar, you'll be successful anyway, because everyone wants to be related to it. But then, and this is how the quality started going down, because it was just too many of them. And whoever knew about Tiki or didn't know about Tiki was opening Tiki bars. And very soon, the quality just started going down, and people were like, it's not really. And then the disco era started with like Flair and
not a fan?
No, I used to be a Flair bartender. I was competing in Roadhouse. I'm not saying I'm not a fan. But there are limits. So like there's a certain thing about a Flair bartender as a competition in sports, and there's a different thing as being able to flair behind the bar and entertaining people. But one of the things that was I wouldn't say pissing me off, but it's the ego is always what really pisses me off. And this is the ego of the bartender. If you're a mixologist, let's say, if you're doing something not to entertain your guests, but you're doing it for your own ego. And the same thing if you're a flair bartender, if you're not there to actually entertain your customer, but you're flaring for your own ego. This is the thing that people, like guests, can understand, and they can feel, they can click on that.
Oh, okay, because that leads me into two questions quite nicely.
I think we should say cheers.
Oh, definitely.
It's like
we can cheers indeed, and
cheers.
The aircon's just
Thank
kicked
you
in
for
as well.
inviting.
Yeah, no problem. So,
that's a good rum.
what is it?
No idea, but it's a good rum.
John?
Yeah, kind of about the selection.
Yeah, good choice, my friend.
Okay, so this leads me quite nicely into two new areas. You know, we're talking about bartender ego a little bit, and we'll touch on that a little bit more. How much is what you do self-gratifying, self-serving, versus, I don't want to put it out there, serving the community, but doing something different to push boundaries? You know, you're talking about pushing boundaries earlier on.
Yes.
How much is this about pushing the industry, pushing boundaries, growing a business and growing your bartenders and bar managers? Or, because we've all seen the Facebook Live posts of you with the sparklers, and how much is it about you? Or is it a bit both?
I mean, with Lucky Cane especially, I've been working on this project for 1 year, and really, Lucky Cane, obviously anyone that starts his business, you want to make money. But with Lucky Cane, it's not about money, it's not about myself, it really is about making people happy, and changing the perspective and breaking boundaries. So this is why Lucky Cane done so many things in a different way that has never been done in the world. This is Lucky Cane is the first cocktail bar in the world that doesn't use refined sugar. In our syrups, we're just using sugarcane, honey, sugarcane juice, honey, agave, and things like this. And that people think like, well, that might be not that difficult. No, that is really difficult because every single syrup you have to make in-house. Every single thing you make in-house. But from business perspective, that sounds like a nightmare, and it is. But this just proves that we didn't open Lucky Cane just for the business side of it. We wanted to make something different. On the same time, we are making our own rum. We've got our own distillery that has never been done before with rum as well. Even with gins, most of the time you're not distilling your own gin. You're choosing the ingredients, but it's been distilled for you. And then the other thing is sourcing all the ingredients that we're using. We are using only tropical ingredients that people probably never heard of, like things like kupuasu, jackfruit, durian fruit, sour sop, snake fruit, things like this that people just like.
Has anyone else heard of all that?
Well, if you
Can you go through that whole list again? Anyone heard of anything on that list? Are you Lucky Cane bartenders by any chance? No. All right.
There
we go.
He'll know about that. Well, we run a training program to all the staff about those fruits itself, and they have to try it and they have to be able to explain it, because 95% of the customers, they come in like, what the hell is sour salt? And you need to explain it, what exactly it is. And then we give them to try as well, and they go like, oh, well, that is interesting. And it's something that you haven't experienced, but we are Tropical Escape from Reality. The only way to actually experience those fruits, if you were in Indonesia, South America, and you should have been mixing with the locals to experience it, because you're not going to see that in your 5-star hotel either, because they are all using like purest that you find in the supermarket, because the cheapest anyway. So like the only way to experience that is if you go with the locals and you go and see, oh, I'm going to try jackfruit. So this is what we wanted to give to people, a new experience, a new flavors. You go try that cocktail and go like, well, that tastes like nothing that I've tasted before. And this is the extra mile that we went from Lucky Cane. And trust me, it's a difficult thing, because we've got about 15 different suppliers of trying to get a little bit from there, a little bit from there, a little bit from there. It's a nightmare operationally. But you get to the point of when we kind of like trying to control that nightmare to become controllable. And I'm sure
a controllable dream.
Yeah. But that just proves that we haven't opened Lucky Cane just thinking as a business. We really wanted to make a difference.
And I suppose that leads me on to the next part of my question, which is about the future of Tiki, the future what is modern Tiki, and if it's if that is about changing Tiki bars, using the ingredients and the fruits, but also the way that you actually approach from a business perspective. Is this actually about serving the community?
Well, yes and no. It's, where I think Tiki is going, and where I want Tiki to go, is that to go back to its past, because but with a modern twist, if that makes any sense, and I'll explain it. Because in the past, when Tiki was in its top, Tiki bars were the best bars in the world. To go to a Tiki bar, you will have to put on your best suit, and you know that you go to a quality. Tiki bars were opening only in like 5-star hotels, and that was if you go to any of the old school Tradevics, you see that it's a 5-star service, and everything needs to be very slick. And that went into a really transition of turning into more like a dive bar with a Tiki decoration lately. You go to a Tiki bar and you're expecting just not really a quality. It's just everywhere is this plastic flower lace and like,
Hawaiian shirts.
And Hawaiian shirts, and it's just becoming a bit of a cliche, And this is why I think I wanted to open Lucky Cane, to showcase that Tiki, modern Tiki, can be quality. You can make drinks, tropical drinks, that could taste just as great as any classic drinks. This is why we've done a section on our menu which is twist on classics, tropical twist on classics. So we've got a twist on the old fashioned, and you have a bourbon that is blended with dry banana and sweet dessert wine, and then you clarify it down to become clear again, and it's just beautiful. But it still have a tropical notes in there. We've got twists on the Manhattan with pimento, Guinness, and clarifying it with milk and china. So there's a lot of really quirky things that we're doing, but you're putting that tropical twist into it. So when people go and try those drinks, and go like, oh, wait a second, that is something tropical about, but that is class. No?
Yeah, and I think you can really see the thought process from like the beginning to the middle to the actual execution. You know, whether it's from just a simple drink made over the bar to a huge sharing vessel coming across, you can really see the actual the process going through it. So that's pretty awesome. That's something you should congratulate yourself on. Like you've so far, like I think you've said a couple of times, you know, I've been lucky with this, and I've been like, sometimes I feel like it's not luck. Well, you know, you work fucking hard for this.
Yeah, it's true.
Wait,
though.
can I say fuck? Okay.
We can cut that.
Yeah. Let me do that again. Like sometimes, you know, people use the word lucky, and I just feel like, you know, we work really hard for this, and it's not luck. It's just down to getting good results after, you know, having a good process.
You cannot be more right about it. So the definition of lucky really is you have to be ready for this luck, because it's not winning the lottery. You have to work hard to actually be lucky, and when this opportunity comes, you're ready for this opportunity because you've worked for this opportunity and you're ready to do that. Otherwise, you gotta push your luck. You cannot be lucky just waiting that someone is gonna drop you 1 million on the street. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen, by the way.
So let's talk about the business a little bit. What's your relationship like with your business partners, and how did you get to know them?
My business partner, I've got a great relationship with my business partners, and this is something that is quite rare. And again, on this one, I can say that I was lucky because that is finding people like this. Like my business partner Steve is like is insane. It's like I've never met more genuine person and more loving person than himself, and he's done it. He's got his own business and he's very successful. But he's cleaning the floor when you know what I mean. He's working hard. When Lucky Kane is busy and no one else is there to clean the floor, he's going to be there wiping the floor.
I suppose it's really important that yes, they're putting the money up and they want to see the business grow, but at the same time they're proud of what's happening. And if you know they see people walking in and going, oh, it's a bit dirty. It's great, but it's a bit dirty. Then you know you need someone who's gonna do something about that. What was it like for you? Because you've been working on this project for a year. Yeah. What was it like for you going from bar manager to bar owner?
You really understand the bar owner perspective is when you actually get the venue and you start seeing the money are going out from the account every day, and then you start realizing, oh, I'm a bar owner. But during this the period before we actually got our venue, it was the preparation for where Lucky Kane is going to go, because we worked on our brand, on our vessels, on our cocktails and everything before we even got the venue. And for me, that is really important. People that want to open their own bar, they need to really think about what actually are you creating. So a lot of people are just thinking, oh, I just want to open a bar. You open the bar, and then what difference your bar makes to the other bars. You really should be thinking why other people should be going to your own bar and creating the brand of this bar. Like for example, like you guys, like you see how the way you created your logo, you've got it all. So this kind of things don't come by luck. You work on that, you think about it. Creating your own brand, creating your brand is very, very important, to get every little detail of why you're doing that. Because
you don't leave anything to chance. You know, you don't kind of go to opening night and go, well, we'll just see how it goes. So
this is when you're losing.
Was there a certain point in the last year that you just went, oh shit, we can't do that. We can't let that happen. Or was it just an organic process of like, we can never leave anything to chance?
You know what? You could be preparing yourself for all your life to do something, but then when it comes to reality, you realize things that well, you were thinking they were brilliant, but they actually weren't. So it's a learning process. So before we opened Lucky Cane, we had few ideas that probably we thought is going to work. Then we're like, well, it actually doesn't. But the thing is that we can prepare. We thought we can prepare fully. And then after that, you can filter a few of the things that work and it doesn't, but then you always come with a plan B. So it's a learning process, clearly, but you gotta be prepared. You have to be prepared. You cannot just take chances and go like, oh, if it works. No, you can't prepare with one plan that you think is going to work. And then if it doesn't, you change it, but you don't go without a plan. That is suicide. This industry is so saturated at the moment. So many people out there. Even though we live in London, you think that there's a lot of people that are going out and partying. You're wrong. If you're just thinking your business like this, don't start it.
Was there anything that really knocked you sideways and made you think, shit, I can't do this? Like, or was there anyone who actually said to you, this is a terrible idea, you really shouldn't?
Oh yeah,
really...
you always have, I always call them, it's probably a bad thing to call them that, but you always have the haters. They go like, people that they haven't done it and they're like, oh, Georgie, you crazy, you've got such a good job, you can earn enough money, you don't have to risk.
How do you deal with the haters? The naysayers?
Kill them with kindness. So if you...
I'm not talking about customers.
I'm talking about everyone in general. When you become successful, you're always going to have people that want to put you down in one way or another. But if you go down that road of you being the same like them, they win. If you're killing with kindness the same way as I told you, you nice to them, they just go back after and so like, why is this guy being nice to me? And maybe you change them as well. You never know. And if you don't, they deserve to be changed.
I think that's a great outlook on life and how to deal with just people generally, right? It's not just about, that's not just Tiki or cocktails.
No. For me, this is story of my life, really. This is the way I deal with everything, regardless if it's business or it's relationships. So like, you always have some friends that are gonna let you down, and then the common thing you think about is like, I can't wait to get you back. Not really. It's not. It's really is not a point.
What is it about this industry that you love? Obviously the Tiki side of it, but more importantly, what is it about this industry that you hate? Because I'm always more interested in especially, you know, you're such a nice guy. You are genuinely one of the nicest guys.
Oh, thank you.
That I've spoken to, especially in this industry, because people can just go, oh, I hate this and I hate that. But there is always something that bugs people. And I think we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but what is it about this industry that really just goes?
Well, for me, first for me, hate is a really a big word which I don't use, because I don't hate as something that is not in my nature. But what I dislike, I can tell you. And I'll start with what I like, so you understand why I dislike the other thing. For me, this industry, what I love actually about this industry, because it's so close, people are so close to each other. We're like a big family. And we are there to give happiness to our customers. They're coming to your bar because they want to have fun, regardless of if your bar gives the best cocktails, or you give it the best time out, or it's got the best music, or it's got the best girls, you're hooking up with them. Regardless, whatever you're going out for, you're going out to have fun. Different people have different ways to have fun, but they're going to the bars for that reason. And we as a bartenders, as a bar managers, as a waiters, as a bar owners, we are there to give them that good time. So what I dislike about it is when you have people that don't do that, when you have people that are thinking about their own ego. They're like, and the ego for me is the biggest killer of yourself as a person and as your business. And this is the only thing that I dislike. When you have people that like go like, okay, I know it all. You know, I've been like, wow, so I've been a bartender for 15 years, I know it all. Or you've got some of the youngsters nowadays that go like grow the beard, and you put some piercing and a lot of tattoos.
What are you saying?
And you don't have piercing. and then you're like, you're more of like, you're going sucked into the lifestyle of the bartender without actually realizing being a bartender is quite of a complex thing. You gotta be, you gotta be entertainer. You gotta have the knowledge. Your bartender is one of the most complex job in the world. You gotta have a little bit of everything, really.
I think that almost goes back to the philosophy that we spoke about before. You know, when you said, look, it's not about, you know, self-gratification. It's about me being able to serve.
Yeah.
Your bartenders are pretty fantastic. Like when was it opening night, or at least soft opening?
Yeah.
We spoke, and most of your bartenders were bar managers who have accepted a bartender's role. And again, with no disrespect to the bartenders that work there, but that must be pretty difficult to control. You know, we're talking about egos essentially.
Yeah.
Especially when your guys, you know, you put them on a platform. They're literally on center stage, and how do you control that?
Well,
or do you control it? Do you just leave them to it? And just
yes and no. The way I always worked before when I was a bar manager, and it's always going to be like this. People don't work for me; they work with me, and I live by example. I'm always there for them, and my bartenders, my waitresses, they are my family. So I treat everyone like a family, and even though all the bartenders that I've got, they used to be bar managers, they still are bar managers in there. I always say to everyone, there's no ego in Lucky Kane. If you're thinking of this way, like, oh, well, I'm this, I'm that, it doesn't matter. I'm listening to everyone, regardless. You all my bar managers. You come to me and you say, Georgie, that needs to be changed. I'm not happy with that. So we do everything together, or we sit down in one table, all the bartenders, and we go, there's not even me. Like I might own this business, but that doesn't matter. That I've got the final decision. We have the final decision. So we all into this together. And all the bartenders that I have, they believe in this project, and they work. They step back from being a bar manager because they believe that we are creating something that is unique, something that is going to make a difference in the industry. And this is where you're getting the bar managers to work together, because they believe in something.
I think that. In fact, you know what? That is such a beautiful philosophy. I think that deserves a round of applause just in itself, guys. Okay, so what I want to talk about as well is what is Lucky Kane? One, as a brand, but two, as a family. Lucky Kane, lucky person?
Well, it's more what Lucky Kane really means is the lucky sugar cane that is going to grow up one day to become a beautiful rum just like this one in my hand, so we can all enjoy it.
Which kind of is almost the philosophy that you were talking about with the bartenders, right? You know, because your bartenders are almost all, or have been at one point, bar managers. And, you know, we've been talking about their potential, egos, you know, control, that you're putting people on stage, you're putting people on a platform and asking them to do a job under very difficult circumstances. I mean, what does it take to be a Lucky Kane bartender, and how do you manage that?
It's not easy of being a bartender in Lucky Kane, and I've got one right here, and he can probably tell you that.
He can back you up or just walk out.
No, but the thing is that Lucky Kane bar team really is a family. It doesn't matter. Most of my bartenders, they're coming from a bar manager background and in one of the top UK bars, really, and they're doing a step back, which is not really a step back, because being a bar manager, yeah, okay, you are learning a lot of different things about how you run the business, but then sometimes you are stepping back from your progression because you are getting too much into numbers and less into what actually you're doing as a bartender. And in Lucky Kane, there's no such a thing as a bar manager. They all are my bar managers. And I always work with them. They don't work for me, they work with me. And I always lead as an example. So it really is important. Looking at all these people making these perfect cocktails is just insane. Like in an environment that is so busy on Friday, Saturday, you've got like over 1,000 people visiting on Friday and Saturday. And then we're doing the same artisan style cocktails flying out. And you just look around, you got every single person is dancing with a bespoke vessel, perfect garnish, perfect ingredients, all these big smiles, and everyone walk around and go like, oh, Georgie cocktails are insane. And at the same time, you're looking at them bartenders jumping and dancing while they're making their drinks.
Dripping
and like,
with sweat.
Initially. I think it's good for them. They're going, oh, we're going to be losing a lot of weight.
Right? It's a good workout.
No, but it's great. It's amazing feeling, Richard. It's just like looking at all this, and not even only the bartenders, but waitresses, everyone is just giving their heart and soul into Lucky Cane, and because they believe that we are doing something different, that we are bringing something new to the industry, almost hopefully one day even being in the history of like Lucky Cane's done that, Lucky Cane's done that, and these guys were the founders of it.
Well, I mean, you say bringing something new. You have your distillery upstairs, right? You have you're doing masterclasses with pot stills.
Yeah.
How? I mean, that's not started yet, right? That's next month.
That is starting next month. That is something unique that's never been done in the world again. So we did the room upstairs is called Spice Dry Rum Club. So we are bringing in something completely new.
That's an awesome name. The Spice Dry Rum Club.
Well, we were thinking about this name for quite a while actually, because we are creating something new which is called Spice Dry Rum. That category doesn't exist. Well, everyone knows spice rum as rum that is either you macerate spices into and you put a lot of sugar, or some rums actually not even macerate, just putting essences and stuff. So everyone knows the spice rum as that sugary spicy rum.
Yeah.
And we wanted to bring something completely new. So instead of actually macerating the spices and dry fruits, we are distilling rum with it. So it's almost in a way of like you're going to be making gin, but you're making it with full flavor rum, and you are adding spices and dry fruits into it.
And this is a master class. This is somewhere that you let customers do?
Yes, we've got...
Are you insane? I mean, really?
Well, I've been asked that question quite a few times. Yes, in a nice way.
In the last 3 months, yeah, I bet.
In a nice way, but it really is a cool setup. The room is decorated as kind of like a 14th, 15th century discovery. We've got a big ship in the middle, and everyone is sitting around it, and everyone's got a pot still in front of them.
Because there's like, what, 6 or 7 stills?
We've got 12 on the boat, and we've got another 7 on the captain's table.
Right.
So it's 19 people. We can fit in 19 people to do masterclass on the same time. So the masterclass runs with, we explain everything about rum for 1 hour. So you get to try different rums, and you get to understand how rum is made and what's the difference between those rums. And then then you get to make your own rum. So you make a bottle of rum that you choose the flavors that goes into this rum.
Which you can take home?
Yeah. And you can actually reorder that rum after that as well. Because we've got a piece of paper in which we've got 20 different spices and dry fruits that you can choose 5 from. And then you write down which one you choose and how much you're putting from each. And that gets allocated to your name. So you can just email us back and go like, my name is John Smith. And we're going to send you a bottle that exactly the same one.
That's brilliant. So, I mean, you must be pretty busy at the moment, right?
Oh, man.
In fact, I'll tell you what does your day look like? What's Georgie's day from, sunrise to sundown?
Well, as a new business, if you start a new business, a new bar, you have to be nurturing this business as a baby. If you live this, and you back me up on that, and because you've
had
been
many
doing
sleepless nights.
This is the thing. There's a lot of people when they start, because they haven't been in this industry, they think like, oh, I own the bar, so I don't need to do anything. It's like all my stuff. Wait a second, your bar is not going to last long. So you really need to nurture this place, and especially when you have a sophisticated. Kind of like a bar like Lucky Cane, that you need to do your own syrups, and you've got a distillery, and you've got there's a lot of things going on. So to get to the structure of where you can actually step back and let the business grow a little bit without you, that takes a long time.
Because I think with Callay for me, I mean the first 2 years, forget it, I was here all the time. But I think Callay is really an extension of my weird personality and brain.
On this point, just sorry to cut you off, I want to give you a high five and say you've done absolutely amazing.
Thank you very much. Yes, very proud of everything actually. The last 10 years, we've obviously had ups and downs, and you know, a couple of Tails Awards. You know, we were nominated for a Tails Award last week, and we didn't win, and everyone's come home and gone, oh, but you know what? Next year. In fact, next year, high volume, best high volume in the world. Here we go. Yeah, you know what? It's been a great adventure. It's been a really good, fun 10 years, but it is a personal extension, and that's really what I feel that Lucky Cane is almost like your personal extension of your own personality.
Of course.
Right, well, let's wrap this up. Have you got any time for Spirits of Tiki?
Yeah, so Spirit of Tiki, we've done it with Roger Barnes 2 years. We've done one in Langham, one in...
How are you going to fit this in?
That is my biggest question. So this year we couldn't do it because I was just saying to Roger, I was like, Roger, I'm just starting a new business that I want to focus and I want to give all my heart and soul, and it's going to be unfair if I don't do things halfway. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it. And for me, it was like, if we done Spirit of Tiki this year, I wouldn't have really given my heart and soul into it. And then to do something that is half good, I'd rather not do it.
It doesn't work for anyone. It doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for the people that you're trying to do
but
it.
Yeah,
And it doesn't work for your guests either.
Of course, no, it doesn't. So we're finding some people that are going to be event managers for next year.
Okay.
And then.
So you're definitely going to do it next year?
I don't want to say definitely.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, I'm looking at. Yes, I want to do it because Spirit of Tiki was such a great atmosphere. We took on Regent's Park and we made it into a tropical destination, Polynesian area. It was like everyone that was in there was just like, "Is that Regent's Park? What's happening here?" Yeah, so it was lovely, but it takes a lot of work. So if we're finding at the moment event manager, and if we manage to find someone good, then we're going to do it.
Fantastic. We're going to do a Q&A off camera, so if there are any kind of real nitty-gritty personal bits, not you, we'll do that. So I'm going to say thank you. It is genuinely a pleasure to do things like this, but this one has been, I think, probably the one that I've enjoyed the most. I can't wait to see how Lucky Cane unfolds. You know, it's just down the road from Little Bat. You know, we'll probably be there a lot.
I'm so excited of actually you guys being in this area as well, because now that gives me so much more faith that we can get this area a bit more destinational. People, it's not just a local buzz. Now it's like people want to go to Islington to experience. So instead of actually being an Islington resident and going to Mayfair, I want Mayfair residents to be coming to Islington, and we can do this.
Another beautiful philosophy. Guys, please join me in thanking Georgie for this chat. Honestly, I'm so honoured that you're here. I'm so humbled as well. Good luck. It's going to be an awesome project, and we can hug it out.
Thank you. Oh, come on, give it to me. Thank you so much, everybody.